2024 inductees in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a Tribe Called Quest with Same Old Thing, part of the Men in Black soundtrack. Good morning. It's DJ Doc V. This is the triumphant spring 2025 semester return of Office Hours. Appreciate you tuning in. It is 10:04 here Central Time, Texas time, and I'll be with you here for the next hour. Got some great music picked out for you to welcome you back to the spring semester, and we'll let's see what we got. Some Billy Joel, some Soundgarden. It'll be great. So the plenty of activity, that's for sure. Got a new president. He was inaugurated on Monday, and it's certainly a new age, new time. I've got a poem picked out for you. I think maybe this semester we're going to do poems of resistance, just just to poke the bear a little bit. But some of our or a couple of our listeners also had losses over the since we last were on the air, and our heart goes out to them. Of course, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being listeners. It's let's see, 50 degrees here in the beautiful Upper Rio Grande Valley. We're expecting sunny skies with a high of about 64 today, later in the afternoon. No chance for rain today, that's for sure. Looks like tomorrow, 78 degrees as a high, some windy conditions. Sunday, 81 degrees as a high, and then back down to 71, and then 75 on Tuesday. So, and as we come back to classes on Monday, there may be a chance of rain, so make sure you prepare. We've got some great athletics events this weekend. Today there's women's swimming and diving. Then there's men's tennis tomorrow, women's basketball, men's basketball tomorrow. It's great. And in just a few weeks, my alma mater, Southern Illinois University, is coming down to the Valley to play the Vaqueros at the baseball stadium. So I was conflicted for a minute. You know, who do I root for? Well, I got to root for my alma mater when they come down to the Valley. So I'll be rooting for the Southern Illinois Salukis on that weekend. And it's a whole weekend of baseball. That's the 14th Valentine's Day weekend. And if you haven't seen a game at the UTRGV Baseball Stadium, I strongly, strongly recommend it. It's a great venue to see a baseball game. But let's get back to the music here. This one, again, from, we've heard this one before if you're a listener to this show. This starts off with a recitation by Leonard Cohen and goes right into Tori Amos's Silent All These Years. Let's listen to this. This is from KCRW, the public radio station in Southern California. But you'll only hear this on Vaquero Radio these days, that's for sure. Thanks for tuning in. Good morning, Vaqueros. DJ Doc V with you here. You're listening to Office Hours on Vaquero Radio. Thanks for tuning in. 10:20 here in Texas time, Friday, January 24th. 50 degrees outside in the beautiful Upper Rio Grande Valley. We got sunny skies, blue skies. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. Although the temperature going back up on the weekend. So, if you like the cold like me, enjoy it while it lasts, because it's not going to last very long, that's for sure. Remember, we also got some great UTRGV athletics events this weekend, including women's swimming and diving today and tomorrow, men's tennis, and women's and men's basketball tomorrow. And it's a doubleheader, so you can get one ticket. And remember, UTRGV students get in for free. All you got to do is show up with your student ID, and you'll get into the student section of the field house for free. And if you haven't been to the field house in a while, they made some modifications. They made some upgrades. There are seats with little cushions. That's really nice. You got to pay the regular price for those, but if you want the faculty and staff discount, then you got to sit on the benches. But I'll pay a little bit more and sit in a more comfortable seat. And I'll tell you, we went last week and. On the 13th when they had men's basketball, and they had a new item at the concession stand. What the heck was it called? I can't remember. but it was a dog, but it had some more stuff on it. It had what are that? Oh, bacon bits and fried onions and stuff. Man, I forget what it called. I can't remember what they were calling it, but it was good. I certainly had one, and I enjoyed it very much. But I don't know if that's was a one-time deal. Hopefully, they'll keep it there. And I do like to go to the field house. It's a great place to see our UTRGV athletics teams. Um, take on. Who they taking on this weekend? Let's see. I think it's Nichols. Um, let's see here. McNeese tomorrow. McNeese will be in town. Women's basketball at 2, men's basketball at 4:30. The men's tennis are up in San Antonio, but women's swimming and diving here in Pharr, Texas at the Natatorium. And you can check that event out for free as well. Before the break, we heard Leon Bridges with River from his Coming Home LP. And we heard, we started off with Tori Amos and Leonard Cohen with that poem at the beginning. And then Dear God by XTC. That was the last song we played. And at the bottom of the hour, we've got This Day in History coming up. But back to the music for now. Here's a little Billy Joel with Only the Good Die Young on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. That's Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band with Hollywood Nights. Before that, Billy Joel with Only the Good Die Young. Good morning, Vaqueros. DJ Doc V with you for the next 30 minutes or so. 10:32 here in Texas time, Friday, January 24th. And it looks like our weather is 50 degrees. Well, I got to update that a little bit here. Let's see. 55 degrees. So it's gone up 5 degrees since we started office hours. How about that? As we do every week on office hours, we've got This Day in History. It's January 24th. And on this day in 1935, canned beer makes its debut. In partnership with the American Can Company, the Gottfried Kruger Brewing Company delivered 2,000 cans of Kruger's finest beer and Kruger's Cream Ale to the faithful Kruger drinkers in Richmond, Virginia. 91% of the drinkers approved of the canned beer, driving Kruger to give the green light to further production. By the late 19th century, cans were instrumental in the mass distribution of foodstuffs, but it wasn't until 1909 that the American Can Company made its first attempt to can beer. This was unsuccessful, and the American Can Company would have to wait for the end of Prohibition in the United States before it tried again. Finally, in 1933, after 2 years of research, American Can developed a can that was pressurized and had a special coating to prevent the fizzy beer from chemically reacting with the tin. The concept of canned beer proved to be a hard sell, but Kruger's overcame its initial reservations and became the first brewer to sell canned beer in the United States. The response was overwhelming. Within 3 months, over 80% of the distributors were handling Kruger's canned beer, and Kruger's was eating into the market share of the big three national brewers, Anheuser-Busch, Pabst, and Schlitz. Oh, I remember Schlitz. We used to have that when I was a kid. My dad would share with me. Competitors soon followed suit, and by the end of 1935, over 200 million cans had been produced and sold. So that's on This Day in History back in 1935, 90 years ago. Canned beer first arrives on the scene. Also, This Day in History, back in 2018, Larry Nassar, the former doctor for USA Gymnastics, gets sentenced to prison for sexual assault between 40 and 120 years. Just horrible, horrible story. On this day in 1965, Winston Churchill, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, particularly played a significant role during World War II. He died on this day in 1965. In 2006, Walt Disney announced a $7.4 billion purchase of Pixar movie studios. That was, it's hard to imagine. We hear $7.4 billion these days. You go, oh, it doesn't sound like much at all, right? When people are throwing around figures like $100 billion for this, $500 billion for that. It's bananas, right? Also, on this day in 1908, the Boy Scouts movement begins in England with the publication of the first installment of Robert Baden-Powell's Scouting for Boys. The name Baden-Powell was already well known to many English boys, and thousands of them eagerly sought or bought up the handbook. By the end of April, the serialization of Scouting for Boys was completed, and scores of impromptu Boy Scout troops had sprung up across Britain. In 1900, Baden-Powell became a national hero in Britain for his 217-day defense of Mafeking in the South African War. Soon after, Aids to Scouting, a military field manual he had written for British soldiers in 1899, caught on with a younger audience. Boys loved the lessons on tracking and observation and organized elaborate games using the book. Hearing this, Baden-Powell decided to write a non-military field manual for adolescents that would also emphasize the importance of morality and good deeds. So the Boy Scout movement beginning on this day in 1908. And finally, in 1956, on January 24, Look magazine publishes the confessions of J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant, two white men from Mississippi who were acquitted in the 1955 kidnapping and murder of Emmett Lewis Till, an African-American teenager from Chicago. In the Look article titled, quote, "The Shocking Story of a Proved Killing in Mississippi," the men detailed how they beat Till with a gun, shot him, and threw his body into the Tallahatchie River with a heavy cotton gin fan attached with barbed wire to his neck to weigh him down. The two killers were paid a reported $4,000 for their participation in the article. They were never prosecuted for that crime. So, kind of a darker day in our history, that's for sure. Thanks for tuning in, Vaqueros. DJ Doc V with you till the top of the hour. Make sure you are checking out UTRGV Athletics this weekend. We've got men's and women's basketball tomorrow against McNeese at the Fieldhouse. And you can get a 2-for-1 ticket there, so you can see both games if you want. Let's get back to the music. Here's a little Soundgarden with Birth Ritual. This coming from the soundtrack to the movie Singles, and those of us remember seeing that. Matt Dillon was in it. It was a great film. And here's Chris Cornell and Soundgarden with Birth Ritual, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. The Clash with Police on My Back. Oof, that's about the time for that. Warrantless raids, ICE raids stuff. Welcome to United States in the 2025. That's The Clash with Police on My Back. Before that, you heard the actual the band The Police with Message in a Bottle. I didn't even plan that with the Police and then the Clash song. With obviously I did plan it, but didn't even make that connection until I just said that on the air. And then we started off that set with Soundgarden and Birth Ritual from the Singles soundtrack CD. As we do every week, I've got a great poem picked out for you. I was looking up poems of resistance or protest poems, and the Poetry Foundation has a collection here, and I picked one called "I Look at the World" by Langston Hughes. I look at the world from awakening eyes and a black face, and this is what I see. This fenced-off narrow space assigned to me. I look then at the silly walls through dark eyes and a dark face, and this is what I know, that all these walls oppression builds will have to go. I look at my own body with eyes no longer blind, and I see that my own hands can make the world that's in my mind. Then let's hurry, comrades, the road to find. That's a poem by Langston Hughes titled "I Look at the World," only on Vaquero Radio. This is DJ Doc V. Thanks for tuning in today. It is, let's see what the temperature is here in beautiful Edinburgh. We got blue skies, and right now 57 degrees. We're expecting a high of 64 this afternoon, a high tomorrow with windy conditions, a high tomorrow of 78, and then Sunday 81 degrees, and mostly sunny skies, some clouds, and a potential, quite a slight chance of rain for Sunday. So make sure you prepare properly. got one more song for you here on Vaquero Radio on office hours. This one is from The Both, and it's called Milwaukee. Thanks for tuning in. We've got some great original programming next week, so make sure you're tuning into Vaquero Radio whenever you can. You can find us on our website, utrgvradio.com, and listen to us through a browser, or download the Radio Garden app, search for Vaquero Radio, and you can take us anywhere you go. Here's The Both with Milwaukee, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station.